We have a problem when the failures of Islam throughout the world, the failures of all Islamic societies, come here into Britain. Their intolerance of freedom of conscience, their intolerance of apostates, their intolerance of freedom of expression and freedom of speech, their intolerance of minorities, other religious minorities, sexual minorities, their intolerance of gays, their dislike and distrust of half of the population, women, and many, many other things. And the call, what's more, for a parallel legal system within Britain and European societies. This is monstrous. No other group behaves like this, asks for parallel laws. This is a fundamental problem, and it's one we're going to have to deal with. It's a problem between a society, Western Europe, that believes that laws are based on reason, and Islam that believes that they are based on revelation. Between these two ideas, I'm not sure there is very much compromise for Europe. It is not Europe that has let down its Muslims, but the Muslims of Europe that have let down Europe.
Hello everyone, I greet you in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Silas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to by Douglas Murray. And then he says that Douglas Murray leave young Muslims speechless on free speech. I believe that this is going to be a very interesting one. So guys, without any further ado, let's get down to this video and check this out.
I'm a British female. I love this country and I give this country. Now
Okay.
you're calling me a problem. I don't think I am. I think you are. Second point is, as a Muslim female, okay, my parents might not...
But do not mix up somebody, a thug, a racist, and so on, attacking somebody in a street with the right of Fleming and me to say what we see in the Quran, what we think of Muhammad, and maybe even asserting our right to say so.
Okay, all right, now...
You are about to see Douglas Murray tell the truth as it is. Douglas Murray breaks the silence on immigration and speaks what is on everyone's mind. In the following clip, Douglas Murray educates a young Muslim student. Douglas Murray did not hold back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Tariq says that Europeans associate Islam with violence. There is some truth in that. There is also a very obvious reason for that, which is that Islam is associated with violence. It was not Buddhists who flew planes into the Twin Towers. It was not Hindus or Jews that blew up the London Underground and buses a few years ago. And that simple fact has to be acknowledged if you're even going to start a dialogue. Now, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a pantomime. I'd argue that Europe has done not too badly, considering the circumstances. In the middle of the last century, there was an almost negligible Muslim presence in Europe. At the turn of the 21st, in Western Europe alone, there were 15 to 17 million Muslims. That's a very fast migration, ladies and gentlemen, one of the fastest in human history. And no society would find it easy to deal with that kind of migration. As it happens, European societies, Western European societies have, I think, dealt with this much better than some would. Certainly, Muslims coming to live in Britain and in Western Europe enjoy more rights and better rights, among them freedom of worship, than they do in any Islamic country in the earth here today. We do have a problem. We have a problem when the failures of Islam throughout the world, the failures of all Islamic societies, come here into Britain. Their intolerance of freedom of conscience, their intolerance of apostates, their intolerance of freedom of expression and freedom of speech, their intolerance of minorities, other religious minorities, sexual minorities, their intolerance of gays, their dislike and distrust of half of the population, women, and many, many other things. And the call, what's more, for a parallel legal system within Britain and European societies. This is monstrous. No other group behaves like this, asks for parallel laws. This is a fundamental problem, and it's one we're going to have to deal with. It's a problem between a society, Western Europe, that believes that laws are based on reason, and Islam that believes that they are based on revelation. Between these two ideas, I'm not sure there is very much compromise for Europe. It is not Europe that has let down its Muslims, but the Muslims of Europe that have let down Europe. This is not solely something which we have to say we can never reconcile. Of course we can reconcile this, but we need to be honest about it. We need to be frank about it, and we cannot avoid things just because they are unpleasant. And if there were one thing I would wish Muslims in Europe could learn today, as fast as possible, it would be this: that you have no right in this society not to be offended. You have no right to say that because you don't like something, you can commit violence, or you would like something to be stopped or censored. You have no right to have more hate laws, or hate crime laws, or hate speech laws, just to defend Islam. You have to realize, the Muslims of Europe have to realize, that a society in which even your deepest feelings can be trodden upon is the only society worth living in. And the sooner we can learn that, the sooner that Islam can learn that within Europe, the better. It is not Europe that has failed its Muslims. It is Islam that has failed Europe. I'd argue Islam has failed its Muslims. Thank you.
Wow.
Douglas Murray brings attention to the rapid and unprecedented migration of Muslims into Europe, a phenomenon that no society can easily absorb in a short period. This mass migration is one of the fastest in human history, and it's understandable that it would bring significant challenges. Despite these challenges, European societies have made commendable efforts to accommodate these new arrivals, providing them with rights and freedoms that are often lacking in their countries of origin. Europe's approach to integration has been notably generous. For example, countries like Germany and Sweden have welcomed large numbers of refugees, offering them housing, education, and healthcare. This level of support is a testament to Europe's commitment to human rights and dignity. In contrast, many Islamic countries, even wealthy ones, have been less willing to take in refugees, highlighting a stark difference in approaches. However, integration is not a one-way street. While European societies strive to be inclusive and supportive, it's equally important for Muslim communities to adapt to the values and norms of their new homes. This means embracing core Western principles such as freedom of expression, gender equality, and secular laws. These values are fundamental to European society and are essential for maintaining social cohesion and harmony. Statistics support Murray's concerns about integration. For instance, studies have shown that second-generation immigrants in Europe often experience higher unemployment rates and face greater challenges in education compared to their native counterparts. This indicates that integration efforts need to be more robust and that immigrant communities must engage more actively in the process.
Young lady here with the headscarf, and then we'll come to our panel.
I'm a British female. I love this country and I give this country. Now you're calling me a problem. I don't think I am. I think you are. Second point is, as a Muslim female, okay, my parents might not let me go somewhere late at night because people are racist to me. They tell me to go back home and they hurt me. I got hit by 2 white guys and they laughed at me because I'm a scarfie, okay? Last point is to Mr. Fleming, about the point where you said, about the religion, changing religion. Every person has the right to. No one says anything about that. But if you had a daughter or a son that wanted to become a Muslim, would you be happy about that? I don't think so.
Douglas, I want to ask you, you heard some of the people from the floor there, the woman complaining about attacks on her because she's described as a scarfie because she wears a head veil. I mean, that is something that you would regret. I mean, that doesn't promote social cohesion, does it?
Nobody thinks that any physical attacks or any such thing could be a good thing to happen. Of course not. Of course there are. Let's make sure we're right.
She's talking about prejudice
exists in society. Let's just be absolutely clear, this is an audience. Prejudice undoubtedly exists in this society. It exists across racial groups, including from minorities to other minorities, after all, which is one of the things we see increasingly in Britain these days. And it is also the case that people, in particularly famously lower socioeconomic groups, are likely to feel hatred for other groups. That is one of the things that has to be tackled, and everyone, I think, in this hall, I'm sure, we're in agreement that that should be tackled. But do not mix up somebody, a thug, a racist, and so on, attacking somebody in a street with the right of Fleming and me to say what we see in the Quran, what we think of Muhammad, and maybe even asserting our right to say so.
Okay, all right, now...
I completely agree with Douglas Murray on this one. Freedom of speech is the cornerstone of Western civilization. It allows people to express their ideas, challenge prevailing norms, and foster innovation and progress. However, this freedom also means that people will inevitably encounter opinions and expressions that they find offensive. The appropriate response is not to demand censorship or special protections, but to engage in dialogue and debate. A notable example of the clash over free speech involves the publication of cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad. These cartoons, first published in a Danish newspaper in 2005, sparked global protests and debates about the limits of free speech. While many in the Muslim community found the cartoons deeply offensive, the broader Western response emphasized the importance of protecting the right to free expression, even when it is controversial or provocative. Statistics show that societies that uphold freedom of speech tend to be more innovative and economically prosperous. According to the World Economic Forum, countries with strong protections for free speech, such as the United States and those in Western Europe, often rank higher in global innovation indices. This correlation underscores the value of maintaining a culture where ideas can be freely exchanged. Prominent figures have supported Murray's stance. For instance, Salman Rushdie, who faced death threats over his book, The Satanic Verses, has consistently argued for the importance of free speech. Rushdie contends that giving in to demands for censorship only emboldens those who seek to suppress dissenting voices. He emphasizes that a free society must stand firm in defending the right to critique and question all beliefs, including religious ones.
Alright guys, that's a very interesting video listening to Douglas Murray, of course, talking about integration into European society. But one thing that I want to say is that people migrated in a sense into various places in a sense for different reasons. Sometimes some do it based on to get better life, some are because of war. But whichever reasons that makes you to find yourself in another country or in another place or another society is that there is a need for you to recognize, understand, the laws of that very country or that very place, understand, you have find yourself. So which means that there's a need for you to respect the laws of that very society you find yourself, or whatever nation you find yourself. Now, if you look at this very situation where therefore people, you understand, migrated, you understand, to Europe, and then therefore comes with their values. Now there's always, you understand, an issue of integration into European society, because in European society, freedom of speech, in a sense, serve as one of the pillar of Europe. And then therefore, since there's a freedom of speech, people have different way of expressing them. Therefore, people who come from different cultural background have their own understanding or have their own culture and how they do things, and then therefore try to enforce some of those things in a sense once they get to Europe, and then those things in a sense end up in a sense bringing problems or end up in a sense causing problems. And that is why we are here in a sense arguing about what that is happening between the Muslim activists and then also Douglas Murray. Because if you look at it, once you find yourself in Europe, it's been expected of you to operate based on the laws of the Europeans, and not basically about, in a sense, the nation or the country you come from. While you are back there in your country, you can be able to practice some of those laws as far as you are in your own country. But immediately you step out, you have to maintain or respect, in a sense, the laws of the European. Failures to do that, that is when, in a sense, we end up, in a sense, people attacking one another and all those things. For instance, I might be in my own country, so if I go, for instance, you understand, to Europe, despite the fact that I am homophobic, I do not like gay, but that does not mean that, in a sense, I should hate them, or that does not mean that, in a sense, I should confront them. But then therefore, since, in a sense, the laws, in a sense, in Europe, in a sense, accommodate them, there is no need of me, in a sense, ending up, in a sense, to attack them. Or within me, I may know within me that yes, I don't just like, you understand, these people because I feel that they are going against, you understand, the plans of God toward humanity. So same is also applicable, you understand, with religion. And just like how, you understand, the lady was also asking Douglas Murray, the truth about it is, let's assume that, of course, maybe an apostle have a son, and then my son want to convert, in a sense, to Islam. I will not be happy about it. Same thing is also applicable to a Muslim whom will have a child, and if the child want to convert to Christianity, I believe that the person too will not feel good. And then that's the reason for the apostasy. So when you come to apostasy, of course, Muslim may not like, in a sense, to tolerate some of these things, but then I will say that as far as you find yourself, you understand, in Europe or any of the Western country that see it, in a sense, as freedom of expression, then I think that you don't have to do anything about it unless, you understand, you are in your own country. And then therefore, if your son apostate, then therefore you can look at it based on the laws in your own country. If, you understand, that permits you for you to do whatever you want to do with your son, then so be it. But as far as, you understand, you are in any of these Western countries who accommodate some of these things, then I feel that that you can't be able to do anything, because in the process of trying to enforce some of these things in a sense on them, that will lead to some of the problems that we are having in a sense nowadays. So for me, I will feel that whatever in a sense you have, just try to look at in a sense the laws and values of that very society you find yourself, and not necessarily about what you believe in, because now you are no longer in your own country. So when you go back to your own country, of course some of those things in a sense can be enforced, but as far as you find yourself in a sense in Europe, then therefore you have to operate based on the laws of Europe. Nevertheless, it's not good for you to just see a human in a sense and went on to attack them just because in a sense they do not agree with some of the things in a sense that you are saying. So I feel that of course we have to always in a sense respect people's in a sense freedom of expression of whatever they want to believe in, since in a sense the society in a sense gives them that very freedom or that very liberty, or serve as even the cornerstone of Europe. So I feel that let's just in a sense respect each and every one of us in a sense our views, because we are just in a sense different, and the way we understand in a sense things in a sense differ. So let's not try to impose things in a sense on people. I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion concerning this, and I want you to drop it at the comment section, and may God bless you as you do so. So that's the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share and subscribe. If you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.